The age of the Himikos, when sun, moon, and stars converged. In our previous story, we uncovered the identity of the legendary Queen Himiko, who emerged during the tumultuous era known as the Civil War of Wa. But in truth, the Himiko lost to the darkness of history was not just a single woman. During this age of strife, where warlords across the archipelago fought in a blood-soaked struggle for dominance, multiple queens rose to power, each ruling over their own Wa kingdoms. This story focuses on one such queen, tied to the lineage of what would later become the Yamato government recorded in the Nihon Shoki. It is the story of another Himiko, emerging from the genealogy of the Yamato kings and of the mysterious clan that supported her. After the first Mononobe Eastern expedition, the Wa Civil War temporarily came to an end. In this episode, we unravel the story of a Himiko who appeared in Yamato, rekindling the flames of conflict. The Mononobe clan's eastern expansion brought their power into the Yamato region. However, they soon clashed fiercely with the native people, descendants of the Izumo lineage. The cause? A religious war. The Izumo people worship the sun goddess through the Sainokami faith, symbolized by bronze bells, dotaku. The Mononobe, however, brought Taoist mirror worship, forcing local people to participate in mirror-hanging rituals. They even destroyed dotaku across the land. At this time, a man named Ota Tanehiko sought to use the Mononobe for his own ends and seize power in Yamato. He became the high priest of Mount Miwa, where grand seasonal festivals had once been held to honor the sun goddess. At the center of this theocratic system stood the Himiko, or sacred priestess, a female shaman who served as the spiritual backbone of society. The Ota family, having seized the rituals of Mount Miwa, promoted their daughter Momoso Hime as the new Himiko. Though recorded in later chronicles as the daughter of a great king, she was in fact of the Ota lineage. This Momoso Hime was the first Himiko described in the Gishi Wajinden, records of Wei on the Wa people. However, the Himiko who sent an envoy to Wei in 239 CE was someone else. In other words, Himiko was not a personal name, but a priestess title. According to Gishi Wajinden and Book of the Later Han, after 70 to 80 years of male rule, a massive civil war broke out in Wa. Amid the chaos, Momoso Hime, as Himiko, gained the people's faith and brought stability through ritual, becoming queen. It wasn't through force, but through prayer that she won the hearts of the people and pushed back against the Mononobe. Peace returned to Yamato, and the Mononobe's first expedition ultimately failed. A grand temple was built in her honor, the remains of which are known today as the Makimuku ruins. Pottery from all over Japan has been unearthed there, suggesting that clans of Izumo origin gathered in Yamato for festivals. Strikingly, however, pottery from Kyushu is almost absent, implying that the defeated Mononobe forces retreated west. Ota Tanehiko used Momoso Hime's popularity to oust the Mononobe and was later buried at the Sakurai Shaosuyama Kofun. His son was buried at the Mesuriyama Kofun. After the reign of the 9th Emperor, Kaika, the royal line came to a temporary halt until the 10th Emperor Sujin. But between them, the royal lineage was effectively broken. Momoso Hime was buried in the massive Hashihaka Kofun, believed by some to be the actual tomb described in the Wei records. Yet this was not the same Himiko of Yamatai in Kyushu, but Momoso Hime, the Himiko of Yamato. The origins of Kofun, ancient burial mounds, can be traced to Kibi, but the first keyhole-shaped tombs, Zenpo Koenfun, emerged from the Ota region, symbols of a new fusion between Izumo beliefs and Taoism. Sainokami and the fusion of ancient Asian mythologies. This tale begins with Japan's ancient Sainokami belief system, which worshipped a trinity of deities protecting human fortune: father, mother, and child. The father deity was Kunado no Okami, the mother Sachihime no Mikoto, and the child Sado Tahiko no Okami. These three later evolved into the fierce Sampo Kojin, or Three Treasures God of Fire. This transformation is attributed to En no Ozunu, the founder of Shugendo and descendant of the Kamo clan from Katsuragi. Connected to the Izumo royal bloodline, Enno Ozunu's main deity, Zhaogongen, bears strong resemblance to Shiva, the god of destruction and rebirth in Indian mythology. Shiva, worshipped by the Dravidian people, creators of the Indus civilization, was central to the formation of Hindu cosmology alongside Parvati, Ganesha, and others. Japan's Sainokami triad aligns closely with these Hindu deities. Kunato no Okami reflects Shiva's regenerative symbolism. Sai Hime embodies the round mountain goddess, akin to Parvati. Saturta Hiko's long nose is reminiscent of Ganesha, the elephant-headed god of wealth and learning. Sainokami, worshipped at village boundaries, functioned as a barrier deity, just like Hindu and Taoist boundary gods. Moreover, Chinese Taoism brought beliefs in solar deities, immortality, peaches of paradise, dragons, and celestial cosmology, deeply influencing Japanese mythology. From the three-legged crow in the sun to the moon rabbit pounding immortality elixir, these Taoist tales were woven into Japanese folklore and syncretized with Buddhism. The similarities across Shinto, Hinduism, and Taoism are striking. Polytheism, nature worship, ancestor veneration, sacred rituals for communion with the divine. The Sainokami beliefs carried by Dravidian migrants to Izumo, and the cosmic Taoism brought by Shu Fu, who journeyed east under Qin Shi Huang, profoundly shaped early Japanese spirituality. The result? Japan's unique form of Shinto, born from a blend of animism, polytheism, and continental philosophies. It was a moment when the ancient gods of Asia reached across the seas to help form a new mythic world. Usa and the Second Himiko. Meanwhile, a separate legend was unfolding in Usa, Kyushu. There, in Usa Shrine, we find the Second Himiko. Toyotama Him, a moon goddess and queen of the Toyo kingdom. She married Mimaki Irabiko, Inia Ou, of the Mononobe royal line, forming a confederation of the Toyo and Suma kingdoms. When Inia died during preparations for an eastern expedition, his young son Ikume succeeded him. However, Toyotama Hime led the campaign herself. In China, 184 CE saw the Taoist-inspired Yellow Turban Rebellion, which was crushed, but Taoism spread rapidly. It formed religious groups like Five Pecks of Rice and led to the collapse of the Han Dynasty in 220. The new Wei state rose in its place, ushering in the Three Kingdoms era. It was during this era, 239 CE, that the Himiko of Wei's records appeared. Wei, having overthrown the Taoist-fueled Han, grew in strength and suppressed religious cults. Toyotama Hime sought tribute to gain the royal seal, essentially becoming a tributary state. Passing through the Korean peninsula, she allied with the Ame no Hiboko clan and sent Tajima Mori, a descendant, as envoy. Her goal? Establish diplomatic ties with Wei before Yamato to present herself as Queen of all Wa. But in doing so, she falsely reported her location as Yamato, resulting in the confusion around Yamato's whereabouts. As for the 100 mirrors gifted by Wei, these were not symbols of honor, but surplus Taoist mirrors outlawed by the regime. Meanwhile, Japan had begun producing large, triangular-rimmed deity beast mirrors domestically as prestigious tokens for nobles. In short, Himiko was a priestess title held by multiple women. Yamato's Himiko was Momoso Hime, the spiritual savior of the land. Usa's Himiko was Toyotama Hime, the diplomat queen who dealt with Wei. The title Himiko belonged to spiritual abilities Himimiko priestesses, not a single legendary queen. This story suggests that the religious conflict at its heart led to a powerful fusion of beliefs in the Yamato region. The bloodline of the Izumo people, represented by the O clan, appears to have carried with them the three deities of Sainokami, likely brought from India. These merged with the Watatsumi trinity of the seafaring tribes and the Zoka trinity introduced by the Hata clan. Together, these three spiritual lineages in a unified belief system in ancient Nara. In the era of Himiko, it is possible that the people's prayers, Rooted in the sun worship of Izumo, the moon worship of Usa, and the star worship of the Chin, Hata, lineage each reflected the unique spiritual identity of their regions. These distinct yet interconnected devotions may have been the true force moving the nation forward. And next time, the trajectory of the Jomon people conveyed by Sainokami faith in Himiko, the tale of how faith bound a nation and shook its fate. You have yet to hear the true story, passed down through forbidden oral traditions, hidden in the shadows of history.